The trap of the first label, how stereotyping shapes our minds, and our mistakes. We think we're being efficient. But stereotypes don't just cloud judgment, they warp it. Here's how to break free from this cognitive shortcut and start seeing people clearly. He doesn't look like a CEO. She's too young to know what she's talking about. Sound familiar? These snap judgments, often made within seconds, are the stereotyping effect in action. It's the human brain trying to categorize others with minimal effort. And while this cognitive shortcut may feel efficient, it's also lazy, limiting, and potentially dangerous. Stereotyping is more than just a social issue. It's a cognitive bias that affects how we interpret the world, whom we trust, who receives opportunities, and even how we perceive ourselves. What is the stereotyping effect? The stereotyping effect is the tendency to form generalized beliefs about a group of people based on limited information and then apply those beliefs to individual members of that group, regardless of their actual traits or behaviors. In essence, it's the mental shortcut of saying, asterisk, if you're part of that group, you must be like this. It allows the brain to conserve energy by not having to evaluate every person or situation from scratch. Unfortunately, this shortcut trades accuracy for speed, and the consequences ripple across every area of life. The psychology behind it: our brains evolved to categorize. It helps us navigate a complex world. Is this thing safe or dangerous? Friend or foe? We do this with objects, animals, and, yes, people. A few cognitive forces magnify this tendency. Schemas, mental frameworks that help us organize information. Once we build a stereotype, e.g., artists are disorganized, we often seek out information that reinforces it. Confirmation bias. We tend to notice and remember behavior that supports the stereotype, while dismissing what contradicts it. In group bias, we favor those who seem like us, and stereotype those who are other. Illusory correlation. We associate certain traits with a group even when no statistical relationship exists. Stereotyping occurs automatically, often below the level of conscious thought, making it especially challenging to address. Real-world examples of the stereotyping effect. In the workplace, resume bias. Job applicants with ethnic-sounding names receive fewer callbacks than those with traditionally white-sounding names, even when the resumes are identical. Leadership stereotypes. Men are more likely to be perceived as assertive leaders, while women are often labeled as bossy for exhibiting the same behaviors. Ageism. Younger employees may be dismissed as inexperienced, while older employees are seen as tech-averse, even when neither is true. In education, teacher expectations. Students from marginalized groups are sometimes expected to underperform. These low expectations can subtly affect teacher behavior, which in turn impacts student achievement, a phenomenon known as the Pygmalion effect. Discipline gaps. Research has shown that black students in U.S. schools are disproportionately disciplined compared to white peers, often based on subjective judgments. In law enforcement, racial profiling. Individuals from specific racial or ethnic backgrounds are more likely to be stopped, searched, or arrested, not because of data, but due to deeply embedded stereotypes. In ourselves, when individuals are aware of a negative stereotype associated with their group, it can impact their performance. For example, women reminded of gender stereotypes before taking a math test tend to perform worse, not because of ability, but because of the pressure to disprove the stereotype. The cost of stereotyping. Stereotypes aren't just unfair, they're inefficient and inaccurate. Missed talent. Stereotyping leads to overlooking capable people who don't look the part. Poor decisions. When we rely on group-based assumptions, we ignore critical individual information. Damaged trust. People can sense when they're being stereotyped, which erodes trust and hinders relationships and collaboration. Limited self-concept. Internalizing stereotypes can shrink your sense of what's possible for yourself. We like to think of ourselves as rational decision-makers. But when stereotypes run the show, we're relying on flawed data, and paying the price. How to combat the stereotyping effect? It's not enough to mean well. Stereotyping is an automatic process, but awareness and intention can help disrupt it. Here's how. 1. Slow down your judgments. Stereotyping thrives on speed. When you feel yourself jumping to conclusions about someone, pause. Ask, what evidence do I have for this belief? 2. Challenge your inner narratives. When you catch yourself thinking in categories, she's probably not technical, he must be aggressive, pause and challenge that voice. What experience, if any, supports this assumption? 3. Expose yourself to counter stereotypes. Intentionally seek stories, media, and role models that contradict common stereotypes. The more diverse your inputs, the more nuanced your outputs. 4. Use individuating information. Get curious. Ask questions. Learn more about the person in front of you rather than relying on assumptions. Research shows that individuating, focusing on a person's specific attributes, reduces bias. 5. Acknowledge implicit bias. Take an implicit association test, IAT, to uncover hidden biases. You can't address what you don't know, but you can change what you're aware of. 6. Create environments that interrupt bias. In hiring, use blind resume reviews. In meetings, rotate speaking roles. In education, use anonymous grading when possible. Structures can reduce the room for stereotypes to take root. Stereotyping hurts us all. Even if a stereotype appears positive, e.g., Asians are good at math, women are more nurturing, it still reduces someone to a label. It strips away individuality, uniqueness, and humanity. It's not just about being politically correct. It's about being accurate, period. When we rely on stereotypes, we trade curiosity for certainty, complexity for simplicity, and connection for control. In doing so, we limit not only the people around us but also ourselves. It doesn't have to be your destiny. The world is rich, messy, and wonderfully diverse. So are the people in it. Every time you catch yourself painting with a broad brush, remember, the real picture is always more detailed. Start seeing people as they are, not as your brain's filing cabinet wants them to be. You'll make better decisions. You'll build deeper relationships. And you might free yourself in the process.